YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles, even if they are launched from other sides of the world, and even if they're launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful. And now we have technology that's even far advanced from that, but including hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles. All of them will be knocked out of the air. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland, and the success rate is very close to 100%, which is incredible when you think of it. You're shooting bullets out of the air. I'm also pleased to report that the One Big Beautiful Bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome to help construction get underway. That's the initial sort of a down deposit. And we have probably, you're talking about, General, we're talking about $175 billion total cost of this when it's completed.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Once again, Donald Trump has come out and discussed the building of what they're calling the Golden Dome. And it's really important that people understand what this is and they push back against it. This has nothing to do with external threats. The whole notion of what they claim this is going to be makes little to zero sense as far as building out this massive defense system that is really unrealistic. But it's not a defense system, and that's what everybody needs to understand. They tell you it's for your safety. They tell you it's to protect freedom. They tell you that other countries like China and Russia don't want America to have it because they want America to be vulnerable. So that makes people think that we need to have it. We should get it because screw them. Maybe they're going to attack us in our sleep one night. So we better build this massive Golden Dome. But the problem is that, again, the Golden Dome is not a shield. It is not defense. It's dominion. It is a technological veil. It's the equivalent to a digital firmament that they will be putting above the United States of America. And then they will move forward with the rollout of 6G, the merging of human beings' bodies with machines. They will begin rolling out drone surveillance, Reaper drones across America, all in the name of protecting you. This is the Golden Dome surveillance system. It is Skynet. I talked about it when he discussed it during his State of the Union address. And the pushback from most conservatives is that it's not Skynet. Every single thing you see them doing with satellite balloons in the sky is, in fact, Skynet that they're building out, telling you that you won't be able to get lost if you want to get lost, telling you that you will be tracked and monitored 24/7. And then you start to see the switch into a full-on surveillance state. If you think it's bad now, think again. Because China is the blueprint for what the world government looks like under artificial intelligence governance. Full-on surveillance. This is Terminator. We see them clearing out land, using weaponized weather, tornadoes wiping out towns, cities, putting towns and cities underwater. They're clearing land to build more smart cities. They're building a golden dome to make you think that this is something like Israel's Iron Dome, which of course is all propaganda. This golden dome is about singularity. How many times have you heard the term singularity from these puppets like Elon Musk? Singularity is Skynet, and they believe that they're going to have singularity by 2045, but they want singularity through technology by 2030. And that means that you're in a full-on surveillance state, because that's what it really means to have singularity. Now, think of the other stories they've conditioned us with over the last couple of years. We all remember the mysterious drone sightings that your government still tells you is a mystery. How about the Chinese spy balloons that were flying across America? These are conditioning mechanisms, and them saying, screw you, and watching how you respond to these things, because the future looks just like that. In the name of protection and safety from outside threats through propaganda that they air on the news, making you think that China is going to drop a nuke when nukes don't even exist on the United States of America, they're going to say, well, we're going to have these surveillance drones for your protection. Because America is so vast and so big, we're going to need more than just having missile systems on the coast. We're going to need full-on drones. We're going to need DARPA drones, and we're going to need to fly them all around the United States of America. They just conditioned you this with the story in New Jersey. They conditioned us with these spy balloons. And this is the response for most of the MAGA sheeple, which makes it really incredible how much these people have gone into the dark from thinking they're awake, and now they think that they're fully awake. And they have actually less understanding of what's going on almost than a lot of the Democrats do, because some of the Democrats see AI as bad because they're looking at Elon Musk as being bad, and they're starting to see some of these things that Donald Trump wants to implement, and they feel like they're taking away their rights to free speech, and they're taking their rights away to privacy. Here's somebody named Johnny who tweeted out, the Golden Dome missile defense shield enhances U.S. national security with a multi-layered system against ballistic missile threats from nations like China and Russia, integrating advanced surveillance and attack satellites with ground-based systems. He even put integrating advanced surveillance, but doesn't even understand what that means. The surveillance isn't to keep outside threats from coming in. It's to survey and surveil the people in America. The missile system, whether you believe that they exist or not, I'm sure you'll see these lined up on the coast. They'll show you the things that we've seen them show us with Iron Dome. But guess what? These missiles aren't to protect you from outside sources. I'm sure they'll show you propaganda like we see from Iron Dome, where they shoot missiles up into the sky and tell you that they're blocking missiles coming from Gaza with the Iron Dome system, right? But really it looks a lot like it looked in Terminator, because that's exactly what this is. The missiles are for you. The system, the Golden Dome, the surveillance state is for you.
To be a mistake. As in 1100 hours, all primary military systems were secure. What about the missile silos, the subs?
We've lost contact.
You're saying this country is completely open to attack. Who's doing this? Foreign power or some computer hacker in his garage? We can't pin it down.
It's like nothing we've ever seen before. It keeps growing and changing, and like it has a mind of its own.
If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
Skynet defense system
We're in.
now activated.
Skynet fully operational, processing at 60 teraflops per second.
Skynet defense system now activated.
Power failure?
Skynet is the virus. It's the reason everything's falling apart.
1 hour, it will initiate a massive nuclear attack on its enemy.
What enemy?
Us, humans.
By the time Skynet became self-aware, it had spread into millions of computer servers across the planet. It could not be shut down. The attack began at 6:18 p.m., the day the human race was nearly destroyed by the weapons they built to protect themselves.
And how anybody could think that that's a wonderful thing, that allowing a government that has already proven it's gone rogue so many times, but we can look back and we can look at the 11th day of September and really say, wow, well, look what our government allowed to happen on U.S. soil. And of course, we know who really was behind it and what really happened, and that obviously aluminum can't go through steel, but can't cross what actually happened. There was a controlled demolition, as everybody out there should know by this point. But how about in 2020? How about Operation Warp Speed? How about when Donald Trump, the man that these people worship, locked everybody inside? Because he's the one who locked everybody indoors. He's the one who came out with that same poison and told you that it was the greatest thing that he's ever created, the proudest thing he's done as president. Called himself the father of the vax. And you're okay with them building out this massive, massive AI firewall, this literal technological firmament that's going to be above us? Now, some people out there go, no, it's not really going to be that. It can't be that. Because there's people out there that don't believe in satellites. But satellite balloons do actually exist. We know that they cause directed energy weapons from the sky, and they have the ability to do that. And keep that in mind when you think about what they're going to be building out above us. But don't forget about the AI firewall that China has. China has their own AI firewall. There's operations like the Pegasus operation that Israel has that have been revealed that show that the government wants full-on control of their citizens. Data-centric authoritarianism. The development of frontier technologies could globalize repression. That's the point. That's what they're trying to implement. This is what it looks like in China. And this is what the plan is in America. A full-on surveillance state that begins implementing their social credit score, that begins implementing full-on tracking and monitoring of everybody's movement, all, of course, in the name of protection and safety. Because you're going to be told that those drones that are flying above are there to just watch ballistic missiles that could be coming in from Russia, when it's not even possible for them to send a missile here. But they'll put propaganda out and say a Russia boat was spotted off the coast of New York. And people will say, really? And they say, we're going to send out drones like we did during that whole thing in New Jersey. I mean, whoops, we won't want to tell you that because we were just checking how you would respond to it and see if you were thinking or getting upset, or if you were actually just getting conditioned by it and saying, what's the big deal? Because there's going to be more stories about drones flying around, just like there was multiple stories about spy balloons flying around to make you fearful of your safety. But this is the hell, again, in China, who has their own AI firewall up. And their AI firewall doesn't allow you to use certain websites, monitors and tracks every single word you put into a search engine. It goes directly to the police, which if they think it's serious enough, they'll put you in jail. But at the very least, they'll shut off your bank accounts. They'll lock you out of your home because they'll force you into a smart home. This is a smart grid. It is a control grid. And this is what China looks like.
In China's Lipu Mountains, past rolling hillside farms, the remote city of Guilin is nestled into a valley and built along a riverbank that's been inhabited for 10,000 years. Today, this old town is getting older, the population is older, and often needs medical care. The closest hospital is far, so on this day they line up for a mobile clinic on a bus. Visiting specialists have a small room in the back for x-rays, and a nearby room for eye specialists to check for cataracts. In this clinic, everything is electronic, and all the patient records and data feed into a single phone application. It's made by the company Ping An, and the app is called Good Doctor. Local doctor Luo Jiangshang says the technology changes everything.
Before we had this platform, patients had to go so far away. It was a big burden. Now, with this platform, it saves both money and time.
For decades, a country that suffered from widespread rural poverty relied on so-called barefoot doctors to provide remote areas medical care. Today, technology, from medicine to telecommunications to artificial intelligence, is helping transform the country.
China is quite unique because it's been a rapidly developing country. So we have very varying, uneven distribution. Technology helps to bridge those gaps and deliver service, particularly in an environment like this.
Jessica Tan is the co-CEO of Ping An, who's building towers over Shenzhen, China's Silicon Valley. Ping An boomed financially into the world's second-largest insurance company, but now it's celebrating by turning old insurance into new tech. Last month, Ping An unveiled new facial recognition software for drivers. Those markings judge whether she's a good driver and feeds all of her data into Ping An's database.
Micro-expression recognition.
A separate application uses facial recognition to determine whether Ping An loan applicants are lying about their identity by examining more than 90 distinct expressions.
When you're nervous, there are these micro-expressions that people will do.
The system identifies abnormal emotions.
Verifying the person who they are supposed to be, in most cases, is quite accurate. So I think already better than the human eye.
And those human eyes, China's 1.4 billion citizens, are now entering more and more data on their phones. And in China, it's big data. Ping An's healthcare app has 250 million users. Ping An's car accident app that can automatically assess and cost damage has 200 million users. And China has developed so recently, the majority of all of those users have never owned cars or borrowed money or earned a credit score. So to choose loan applicants, Ping An's developed a social credit score based on all of the data users enter into their phones.
Having the expertise to change that series of raw information to actually a credit report or score that people trust. So we're able to do that based on your mobile phone bills, your shopping records, right? You do splurge on your spending. If you have a good credit record, you get the loans faster at a cheaper rate. So I think the idea is that there's incentive for people who have nothing to hide to want to share.
But in communist China, who decides who has nothing to hide? Like Ping An, the government is now converting data on its citizens into social credit scores. It's called Sharp Eyes, and those eyes are electronic thanks to the world's most advanced surveillance. The 5 most surveilled cities in the world are Chinese. China now has more than 200 million cameras, including at the entrance to an international conference. And cameras use software that recognize not only faces, but also how people walk, and can then track their location as they move. That allows cameras to judge behavior. In Shenzhen, cameras watch this intersection. If people jaywalk, they're publicly shamed when their faces are displayed on the screen.
Do you think because that camera is there, more people cross legally?
Of course. They're afraid to be seen doing something inappropriate, so they will change their behavior.
If you jaywalk, it reduces your credit score. For example, if you cross the red light, your score would be reduced by 2 to 3.
Behavior change is exactly what the government wants. And the credit score system is so important, there's even a Communist Party-produced national credit magazine. Wu Xiaoyan is the editor-in-chief.
The Chinese system's main purpose is to build a credible society of trust. This system has become an effective measure in our social governance. For example, on the bus, people with regular scores will pay regular price, and people with good scores only pay 80% of that.
Rewarding good behavior all across society and punishing bad behavior is enshrined in her magazine.
When I look in this magazine, I see an honor list in red, and then in black, a blacklist.
Those on the red list are people who have trustworthy behavior. Those on the blacklist are people whose behaviors are not trustworthy.
Does it work? Does rewarding people who act well and punishing people who act badly make more people act well?
Of course it works.
And something about that question made her uncomfortable. She and her staff walked out of the interview and the newsroom, but the microphones were still rolling and recorded their conversation about my questions.
What kind of question was that?
Don't talk about the government. Talk about companies, businesses.
We need to be calm. We cannot refuse to be interviewed.
Not too rigid or serious.
10 minutes later, she did come back to finish the interview.
Everything okay?
She said everything was okay, but the government's critics say everything is not okay because they say China's big data is becoming Big Brother.
Companies that use the social credit system in the government say the social credit system improves people's behavior. But critics say that the government can use the social credit system to target and penalize anyone who opposes or criticizes the Communist Party.
In Hong Kong, protesters say mainland China is exporting a system of surveillance. So when they demonstrate, they climb up ladders and try and cover up the cameras. And protesters also cover up their faces. This 21-year-old and her friends declined to give their names for fear China would punish them.
Although I'm wearing a mask, they're like AI tracking down our faces, and maybe they will just use computers and recognize us in maybe just 1 second, and having all our identifications and all our informations. We are scared about it.
And protesters fear surveillance goes from cameras to inside their phones. They organize these rallies offline because they believe police hacked into their messaging apps.
We are super scared that our personal information will leak out and we'll get caught based on these informations.
Protesters' fears are accurate, says Jean-Li Fan, a long-standing critic of the government. He was willing to sit for an interview but refused to be seen with us in public, so he met us in our hotel room.
Are you, as a constant critic of the government, under surveillance?
Of course. We can feel this surveillance all the time. The Chinese authorities use a network of cameras throughout cities, facial recognition systems, as well as various mobile phone apps to monitor individuals. Surveillance is indeed omnipresent.
And that surveillance happens automatically and instantaneously. Every day, Chinese citizens send more than 45 billion messages on WeChat, the country's most popular messaging service. If you type in something sensitive, like a reference to the Tiananmen Square massacre in Mandarin, the recipient never receives it.
Sometimes my wife and I suddenly can't contact each other. I noticed that whenever foreign media reporters were trying to set up interviews with me, the police would always show up downstairs. And I've noticed that the police who follow me use the same mobile phones from Huawei.
Huawei is a $100 billion phone and technology giant that's the world's largest provider of telecom equipment. U.S. officials describe it as the symbol of high-tech Chinese government suppression and beholden to the Communist Party, alongside fellow telecommunications giant ZTE.
As a matter of Chinese law, the Chinese government can rightfully demand access to data flowing through Huawei and ZTE systems. Why would anyone grant such power to a regime that has already grossly violated cyberspace?
The Trump administration has mostly blocked U.S. companies from selling technology to Huawei, but the company is expanding its 5G or fifth-generation phone technology, and Vice President Vincent Pang says business is booming.
All our major customers still stay with Huawei. We signed a 50 contract with our major customers for 5G already, and this year we will deliver 150,000 base stations outside of China. I think that is the fact.
And that expansion of Chinese technology around the world has enormous implications for China and the U.S.
So we're talking smart meters, smart cars, smartphones, smart cities, smart homes, everything with the word smart, which really means self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. And the ones they're reporting it to are Big Brother. It is an illusion of safety, an illusion of convenience, but it's all about tricking us into digital control and surveillance. And it's going to happen within a blink without us even realizing it. The technological progress that they're going to show you and how much stuff you're going to see rapidly, I've talked about that a lot recently, how rapid this is. How it's like ChatGPT. Now all of a sudden it's everything with AI. Now they're showing you the Tesla robots actually out making cocktails for people at parties. They're overloading your brain with technology, so much so that you don't even have time to keep up with what they're unleashing on us. It's just a rapid unleashing of technology that none of us have agreed to. None of us have been convinced that it's for our benefit or for the benefit of any human being, but they're allowed to do it because they're doing it so rapidly that no human being's minds are catching up with what they're doing. And the next thing you know, while we sat back and allowed them to create a golden dome, some type of missile defense system, which isn't even real, they've really just built a surveillance state all around us. to imprison us, because that's what AI governance is. It's a control grid. All governments, all countries under the same umbrella. Digital surveillance, digital control. That is what the New World Order is all about. So Donald Trump moves forward with this, and all the sheeple out there talk about is how great this is. So immediately after the story came out that Trump went forward with it, what did they put out? Put out stories about how China's really upset about this, right? Because what does that make these MAGA sheeple do? It makes them want it more. China's upset. We don't care if China's upset about it. Oh, we're in a race with China. Yeah, we're in a race to get enslaved. But really, they're not racing one another. They use one another as pawns to convince the people that there's these boogeymen who are going to drop bombs on us that don't even exist in the first place, so that they can implement all of these things around us that we think are for our protection, but they're really for our control. And the next thing you know, it's in, and the people can't rise against it because they're under full-on surveillance, and everything they say is being listened to. Not as if it's not already, but just imagine this. Just imagine this in a few years, where this gets worse and worse and worse, where they force you to have this technology because they say you won't be able to buy or sell without it. If you don't go along with the time period, you want to go off grid, we will make it so that you can't go off grid. We'll create propaganda so people think you're extremists by not going forward with technology. We'll put propaganda out there for anybody that tries to get together in a state like Montana in the middle of the woods, and we'll say that you're conspiring against all the other citizens, that you're the real threat. The threat's on the inside. And thanks to the Golden Dome, we're able to track you. And now what we need to do is round you up. And the sheeple will cheer for it because they think it'll be in their protection. That the dangerous threat is anybody who's anti-technology and anti-government and anti-Big Brother surveillance. Of course, remember, these people will be rewarded. They've been conditioned into being rewarded like a video game. How many stars do you have? How's your credit score, right? With your credit card. Ooh, you got higher points because you say nicer things. And even though on the inside you're dying because you disagree with what the government's doing, you'll just say the right thing because you want to get your score as high as possible, because maybe they'll let you leave your house for an additional hour next month. The Golden Dome is the beginning of this 6G Mark of the Beast system. He's literally laying the groundwork for it, and he's showing us. Trump has already told us he wants to bring in AI governance with AI infrastructure. And all these sheeple don't even know what it means. They're just like, AI? Oh, okay, it's just going to be like, we run more on computers, right? Oh, okay, whatever. I mean, just Trump, right? I mean, at the same time, Trump does that, like I've been saying in my videos. What does he do? He says we're putting in AI infrastructure. Then he goes, we're banning men from participating in girls' sports. Yeah! Oh, and we're also creating an mRNA cancer vaccine. What did he say? And then he goes, and we're also not allowing any of these racial books in the schools that are teaching kids that whites are racist. Yeah! And in between every ridiculous story, he's telling you how they're literally building out the New World Order. And none of these people see it. They just hear, Golden Dome, Trump can do it. Yeah, Trump can build a missile system around the United States of America. It's not a missile system. It's a surveillance grid. It is Skynet. That's what they're building out. And remember, the phone's going to be obsolete by 2030. That's what Zuckerberg says. That's what Gates says. That's what Musk says. That's what Bezos says. That's what all the big tech guys say. Goodman says, all these Altman says, excuse me. They're all telling you it's going to be obsolete by 2030. Oh, yeah? And it's a system that's set up on what? Technology and the internet. What does that mean then? It means that this grid is being set up because the tech is going to be inside of you. This is the mark of the beast playing out. And it seems to me like nobody actually wants to believe it. They're either too naive or they just can't wrap their heads around it because they've seen the assassination attempts on Donald Trump that couldn't be faker, that he would never be the one that would roll this in. But if Obama was doing it, if Biden was doing it, everybody out there who's a conservative would be skeptical. I mean, thinking about the dangers of AI and moving forward with it, which is why they put Musk with Trump. And they've distracted all these conservatives with nonsense and gotten them on board with electric vehicles, gotten them on board with humanoid robots that they're getting marketed, and got them on board with eventually brain-computer interface technology like Neuralink, which none of them seem to push back on. Singularity, ladies and gentlemen, that's the word. And this, again, to make it clear, it's not for your safety. It's not a defense system. This is dominion. This has nothing to do with external threats. This is all about internal control. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.